Welcome to the Flame and Fiber podcast. I guess I don't remember how to start my podcast. I'm Diva S on Instagram and Ravelry if you want to follow me. Welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for the lovely messages. Welcome to anyone who's new, and welcome to those of you who have been around for a while. I am doing Vlogmas this year, so that's throwing me off a little bit. I've changed my thing in here. Not sure this is going to be exactly how it's going to look, but I liked the way my Vlogmases were looking, and I was just doing that ad hoc with my phone on a box in my dining room. Well, not my dining room, my breakfast room, my eating part of my kitchen. My goldfinch mugs from David from Christmas last year. David Dog Dare. And I kind of like the way that looks, so I'm trying to reproduce that here. I have a little thing that I have on my desk that the only reason I have it was to put my camera on it, and now I'm thinking I don't even like it, so that's going to be one place for me to start working on this room, which I'm not even going to go there. I don't have notes for today, but I did rewatch the beginning of my last podcast because since I'm doing Vlogmas, which is a little video every day, it's hard to remember what I've talked about on my podcast and what I haven't. So I rewatched the beginning of that so that there would be a little continuity between podcasts. This is episode 61. It is December 18th, Tuesday, I almost said 2016, 2018. And as I said, thank you for joining me. I've been doing some knitting. I've been doing a little tiny bit of Christmas knitting, and I have some finished objects to show you, and I've started a couple of new things. And Dennis, like 5 minutes after my last podcast, Dennis found the hat, my Midas hat that I couldn't find last time. So this is an FO from the last podcast, which I couldn't find. So this is the Midas hat, and the Midas hat has a doubled brim. It's done in a fingering weight yarn, and I loved the way it was pooling for a while, but that pooling ended up on the inside of the brim, so that's kind of too bad. It started to pool again real nicely when I started decreasing and changing the gauge. Otherwise it ended up looking pretty stripy, but I love the color. The Midas hat, I forget who wrote it, and I'll be putting it down here. And this yarn is 3 Irish Girls in the Springvale sock in the Plaza del San Marco color, which I want. I don't know why I'm telling you anything about that, because I have no idea where it is. In my mind it's in Venice, but I have no idea. It could be in Rome, it could be, who knows, anywhere in Italy. Piazza. It's not even Plaza, it's Piazza, which is why I think Italy. Anyway, so I knit this on our trip. It's just, stockinette knitting, which is what I was looking for, something that would be easy peasy while I was sailing up the Nile or wherever I was doing my thing. So I'm very happy with it. I started out thinking I was going to be wearing it on this podcast, and then I thought that's just lazy because I didn't want to fix my hair. So I fixed my hair just for you. So anyway, I was very happy with it. I wanted to show you on the last podcast, but I couldn't find it. Seriously, 5 minutes after I told Dennis, I couldn't find a hat, when I came down from doing my podcast, he found it. He's the best. He's the best. So, FO number 1. So also in the last podcast, I talked to you about some ideas I was having for Christmas presents for my daughter and my daughter-in-law. And I actually followed through with that. So my second finished object, one of them is gone and one of them is here, is a very simple linen bath mitt. And my idea for this bath mitt, linen after you wash it and dry it a lot ends up being quite soft. And this linen is Soooo linen. I made my Bryce cardigan sweater out of this. In fact, the same color. This is the leftovers that I had from that. Here's a tag if you want to see it. Soooo linen. And this is in the poppy colorway, which I really like. Although, to tell you the truth, it fades really quickly. I like it great. I like it before you wash it, and as you wash it, I like it less and less, to tell you the truth. I washed this and dried this one time, and it just feels faded. Because it is faded, and that was just one washing. So I like this bright, shiny color. Not so happy with it after it's washed. So my Bryce didn't turn out as lovely as I had hoped either, because it also faded. But what I did with the one side is, because I think this linen is going to get really soft over time, I wanted to have kind of an exfoliating capacity with this even after the linen got soft. So I ended up knitting this side in a seed stitch for one thing, which I thought would be a little exfoliating. And I also added this yarn to it. And this yarn is a Habu yarn. Well, it's actually like almost a thread. And here's another one that's very similar. So this one I think is silk and copper. This one is silk and stainless steel, but this has copper in the center of this very, very, very fine thread. And, you know, it's perfectly supple. And I've seen, you know, sort of very airy shells knit out of this and stuff like that. But I thought perhaps the addition of that little bit of copper would keep a little bit of stiffness. I mean, it doesn't feel stiff. It's very comfortable. But I thought it's possible that if I added that on one side with the seed stitch, that it would continue to be kind of exfoliating even after the linen softened up. I have no idea if this is going to happen or not. I have no idea if that's going to work. If it doesn't, then they just have a two-sided washcloth, right? Either way. So this is what I knit. And I knit one for Allison. Allison's gift is gone. Christy's is still a little bit in the making. So I'm saying so a lot, and I apologize for that. And now you're going to notice it now that I pointed it out, because you wouldn't even have noticed it probably, except I pointed it out. The other things that I have been making were thanks to Amy Beth the Fat Squirrel, which is why I decided to make this gift in the first place, was the idea that, oh, I can make bath bombs. Amy Beth talked about making bath bombs. I went on the internet. There are a gajillion recipes for bath bombs. So I made some bath bombs. Now, I sent the best ones to Allison. And these are solid and hard as a rock, but they work. I had one batch that wasn't quite so successful. I ended up putting it in a muffin tin, so you can see. It gave me the idea I should make these so that they look like cupcakes. Wouldn't that be cute? I made this one too wet. I made the mixture too wet, so it was puffing up and didn't stop and didn't stop. It was like this is the same principle as the volcanoes in the science fair. And that's what it was doing. It was acting like the volcano in the science fair, puffing up and puffing up. So I can't give them these because they look goofy. So I'm going to be making another batch of these this week. But so her present will have the handmade linen mitt. I talked about looking for one of these kind of bowls on Etsy, and I found it. And I do not have the card up here with me, but I'll put down here the Etsy shop that I found it in, or put it in the show notes. I didn't do show notes last week, but I will try to do show notes today. So I got these bowls. Aren't they pretty? Allison's was kind of a beige stripe, and the stripe is just the thread that they're using to hold it all together. Anyway, I thought it was lovely. Jack and Ellen, or Jack and somebody, J-A-K and L, Jack and L. I'm putting it down there. So I got a few other things. Oh, so I'm making bath bombs. So then I thought, oh, what else can I make? And it turns out you can make lip balm. I made lip balm. And it works really well. And it is so easy to make. The first batch I made was a little bit stiff. You know, it came out like a little bit waxy. Dennis likes that batch best, but Dennis likes original formula chapstick that goes on kind of waxy. So the first batch I made was his favorite because that's what he prefers. The second batch I made was less waxy, and I like it better. I am giving the girls each one of each. This was actually the waxier one. And so they can decide which one they like. But it turned out so well. I am totally tickled. So the second batch that I made that I like better, it took 10 minutes to make it in the microwave. I mean, you have to buy the stuff. And the butter base of this is cocoa butter. So it smells like white chocolate when you put it on. So this has cocoa butter, sweet almond oil, and beeswax, and then a smell if you want. I put vanilla in it, and that's it. And you put it in the microwave in a Pyrex measuring cup and microwave it, and then you pour it into, I bought these little containers. I got them on Amazon, but I've also been filling up my empty David's tea tins, and that's what I'm going to be using. I've saved all those tins because they were so cute. You know, I got sets of different teas and things, so I'm filling up my David's teas thing. You know, I can make these all day, and I would have a gajillion of them, so I don't need to make any more for a while because I have quite a few. But so that's fun. So the handmade by me portions of this gift will be the bath bombs, the lip balm, and the linen cloth. But I also bought like a twirly towel for their hair, and I bought a puffy thing. And I have had the idea to do a bath basket like this for quite a while. And I got soap, seaweed soap, at a woman's collective in Zanzibar when we were there 2 years ago. Hopefully this still has a little bit of a smell. Allison's were a little different than this. They were two little ones that were cutely wrapped but didn't have any writing on it. And the other thing is, last year when we were in Jordan, I got Dead Sea mud masks as my souvenir in Jordan. We were at the Dead Sea. We floated in the Dead Sea, which was so cool. But one of the things that they do when you're there is they rub you up with the mud from the Dead Sea. That's supposed to be so great for your skin. So I got these. So these are in there. So that's a fun little extra surprise. I got some nice hand cream and other handmade soap. So that's what's going in here in Christie's. The only thing I need now is better bath bombs. So I'm going to do that and then wrap that up, and her present is done. I've decided to give gift certificates to Rich and Jason. And I told you last time that we got, Isabel wanted a pogo stick. So we sent her a pogo stick. We sent her a real pogo stick. But she's 5. But they have a pogo stick that type thing that is a big block of foam on a stick held with a bungee cord, you know, to make it bounce. And it's like a practice It's like a little kid's pogo stick. So we got one of those each for Sammy and Isabel. It says from age three to whatever, I'm not sure. Sammy is only 2.5, but we thought she would want to have one if Isabel has one. But then we also, so we got one for each of the girls to, and basically for Isabel to practice on. And then we got her a real pogo stick. One of her cartoon characters gets around on a pogo stick, which is why she wants a pogo stick, I'm quite sure. So that's my finished object, and there were 2 of them. Allison's package is in the mail and off to her. They are not coming for Christmas, which means I have to get my Christmas presents done way earlier. Because I have to mail things. So that's kind of a drag. But I did it, and it's gone. I got all my mailing done the other day. That was like the stressor for me, was the mailing. So I don't know. I don't know if this thing is going to work or not, but I thought it was a cute idea. I thought it was worth a try. I have 4 of these. I have no idea what else to do with them. I bought these, one of the first things I bought when I was in New York at Habu. And they were so cool, I had to get them. I was a new knitter. What did I know? What am I doing with them? Okay, my second finished, oh no, that's my third because I have my hat and my mitts. And my third finished object are my socks. I had these socks on the needles. They were in my little bobbins Christmas bag. I got glare coming in my window. My little bobbins Christmas bag. Isn't this beautiful? I got this last year, I think. I really love her artistry. Her bags. You know, it's not just about finding cute fabric. It's about creating something, which I find really, really sweet. These socks were in that bag, which tells me these might have been my Christmas Eve cast on last year. I don't remember. But they were in a Christmas bag, which I wouldn't really hesitate to use when it wasn't Christmas, because I could say, oh, you know, it's just a sock hanging. I don't know how long these were in there, but anyway. These I made with the Vanilla is the New Black pattern, which is a heel that I like. And the yarn is Mountain Laurel yarn. It's 90% tunis and 10% nylon. I got this at my local yarn shop was having a trunk show with this. These women, and I bought a few skeins of their yarn. So it's kind of very rusticy yarn. So while I was in the middle of working on these socks, I discovered I was wearing these socks when I discovered I was wearing these socks when I discovered these holes. Now, I often get dressed kind of in the dark because Dennis is still in bed when I get up. So, and I wore these socks a couple days, you know. I have no idea how long these holes were progressing, but I'm sure I would have noticed holes when I washed these socks. So something I was doing, I was wearing kind of a cloggy kind of a shoe that might have been hard on the bottom of the heel. These are the second socks I've gotten a hole in, and the first socks I got a hole in, I also got a hole in the bottom of the heel, which is interesting to me because my commercially made socks, I never wore out a heel once. My toe always went through the top. So I've always been like terrified. I'm going to go through the toe. I keep my toenails really short. I blew out this heel. I put these socks in a zippy bag, and they're going to go in my sock drawer. I didn't even wash them. I wasn't sure what to do. I'm going to let them marinate in there to figure out what I want to do about these holes, if anything. This is the yarn that I dyed in my yarn dyeing class 2 years ago. 2 years ago. I think. I have to go check. Might have been last year. No, it was 2 years ago. I'll check and put it down there. But so I don't know whether there's nylon in this yarn or not. It was a bare yarn that I dyed. So it's possible there was no nylon in it. So I was getting just at the heel of these tuna socks when I discovered this. Going back in the zippy bag till I figure out what I want to do. These are also Vanilla is the New Black design. And so I was already in the middle of Vanilla is the New Black. So I got this idea that I needed to reinforce the bottom of my heel. Now, I might not even have to do that with this yarn. This tuna might be sturdy enough, I don't know, but it only has 10% nylon. Usually I have 20% nylon because I really like 80% wool because I want them to be super warm. But they have to last longer than 2 years, or I'm going to be sad. So, this is the bottom of my heel. I got another yarn. I got a Cascade Heritage yarn, and I knit the bottom of that heel with 2 strands. Well, let me tell you, it looks like a slipper heel. I don't think that's the solution. It's not going to be the long-term solution. There are, and somebody linked to kind of a string or yarn that that's designed to reinforce these kinds of areas. I need to get one of those if I'm going to continue to worry about my heels. I did just wash 15 pair of my socks, and I checked. One of my socks does have a very thin under the heel. So I'll put this out here. I have a very thin, bottom of my foot by my heel on a pair of socks. What should I do about that? Should I knit kind of add a patch of knitted fabric to it or something to help reinforce it before it actually turns into a hole? Is there anything to be done? If you have any good ideas, let me know. But I did check my socks when I washed them, and I don't have any other socks with holes, although that one pair is looking a little thin. So this pair of socks has this weirdo bottom of my foot. Feels a little too big. It felt loose, I mean, you can see it's just kind of massive. So that I ended up decreasing in the foot so that it would tighten up the foot, and I'm glad I did that. It feels fine, and I didn't try them with my clogs. And it'll certainly work with the boots I wear when I walk the dog. So I will definitely get use out of these socks, but they are kind of ridiculous looking. And I don't think this is the actual solution going forward. One of these socks, I had dropped a stitch 3 different places. It was crazy. I don't know why I can't knit a pair of socks without dropping stitches. So I had to kind of mend my socks before I could finish them. Anyway, these are a finished object, and I will definitely wear them. I'll be interested to see how that heel wears. I won't be surprised if these are not the first socks I choose. But maybe these will be wear around the house even if I might not have my slippers on, so that might work. I don't know. I forget who wrote the pattern, but I probably have already put it down there for you to see. My other finished objects I have been, not religiously, but many of the days of the Advent so far, been making elves out of my Advent yarns that I've gotten. I have 2 Advents. I had 2 Advents that I traded with Megan, hi Megan, in New Zealand, and with Susan, hi Susan, who lives not too far from me. And I've been opening my Advents in my Vlogmases, and I have not got any way to easily show you those on the podcast. If you're interested, you can see them. Go back and look at the Vlogmases, although I open them the first thing in every Vlogmas, so you don't have to watch the whole Vlogmas if you wanted to see my Advents. But what I have been doing is making these elves, and I have them along the top of my television because Pearl has been beyond rascally and everything has to be up. I feel like my Vlogmas is look what Pearl did to me again. It's getting old, let me tell you. Anyway, I did a little video and I will insert it here to show you my elves. So the lighting isn't perfect for this, but I wanted to show you some of my finished objects. These are on my top of my television. I've been making these elves for my Advent knitting, and I'm really tickled with them now. Oops. My spring guide my daughter gave me. I'm not loving the pom-pom on the body of that elf, but whoop, the red one is not new. So, oh, that's good. Those 3. And then these 5. I have given away 5 of them already, so I have 8 up here. I've given away 5. That's 13, but I'm going to give away 4 of these on Christmas Eve. I'm going to use them as decorations, like Arna and Carlos use their Christmas balls on the napkin as a gift. And I might include them in Christmas packages I'm going to be making for the weekend. So if that's true, then that's 4 more gone. So I need to keep working on these because I think they're so cute. I'm so tickled with those elves. I'm really excited about it. In fact, I'm in the middle of doing other things that I also want to knit, but I stopped and made an elf today because that green, the first elf on the left, was green that Susan gave me today, which was perfect for an elf, and so I just knit it up and put it on the TV. Since I'm giving those away, I need more elves. I'm loving the elves. But the other things that I am knitting, I guess I'm back feeling like knitting socks. So I cast off a sock, so I put a new sock in my Christmas bag by Little Bobbins. And this is a yarn that was in a swap package from 2 years ago or more. Lal Bear hand-dyed yarns and fibers. And this is 75% Exmoor Blueface and 25% nylon in the summer holiday colorway. And this yarn feels a little rusticy. It is not superwash, so I'm going to have to be careful, but I just loved those colors and I wanted to try this yarn, so I started it. And I wanted to have something on the go that was pick it up, don't think about it, just knit it. And I'm going to knit these into big long tubes and do an afterthought heel at some point. I'm thinking an afterthought heel might work if my heels are going to wear out, then maybe it's easier to replace an afterthought heel, although I'll have to do a little investigating of those worn out socks to see if the damage would have been completely encompassed by afterthought heel or not. If it went beyond that, then maybe it doesn't make any difference. But these turned out really cute. I'm just doing a tube, 2x2 rib till I didn't want to do any more rib, and then I just started knitting. So I have some mindless knitting in pretty colors. I'm really happy with how those have turned out. So I have some socks on the go. Oh, I have it. I was going to say, oh, I forgot my acquisitions. I have not worked on my portage cardigan really at all. I finished the one side, the knitting for the pocket, but the next thing I have to do is a sewn bind off, which I don't know how to do. So I'm going to have to look on YouTube to figure out how to do that, and I haven't done that yet. I've been working on my elves and doing other things. Not too many things, as you can tell from my Vlogmas, but I just don't have the urge to work on that sweater, which is too bad because it's actually quite close to being finished. And my plan is sort of in between Christmas and New Year's. I'm just going to sit down and figure that bind off and get that done. And that will, and do the one other little pocket detail, which only takes a few hours. And then I'll be on the sleeves. And oh my gosh, I want that sweater. So it's not like I don't want the sweater. And I'm sitting here talking about the sweater and I can't even show it to you because it's downstairs. But I didn't really work on it. I decided to make sweaters for the granddaughters. They will be coming sometime in January, I think. And so my goal for the sweaters is for January, not for Christmas, so I don't feel any pressure. I put Isabel's sweater in this cute bag. Is this adorable? This was one of my Advent presents from Megan. Thank you, Megan. She made this bag, and you can't really tell here, but this is sparkly fabric with dogs with sweaters and cute scarves and hats. So lovely Christmas bag, and I am making Isabel's sweater out of that. And the sweater I am making Isabel is the Doverfell sweater. I decided I wanted to make her a sweatshirt. Kind of. I want a hood, I want pockets. This is the adult version of it. It gives you a good idea of what that looks like. They do not actually have the child version. Doesn't have a picture with the hood up, which I think is kind of interesting. But this is the sweater I'm making Isabel. She wanted a zipper. Zippers are a big girl thing apparently, so I think I'm going to make the same pattern for Sammy, but I'm going to put buttons because Sammy doesn't care and Isabel does. But it has this really lovely texture pattern across the back, and then that goes into the around the back and comes into the pockets. So Doverfell. Oh, and this is by Kristen Rengren. Kristen Rengren. I ended up paying an extra $3 to get the adult version of this because I have some desire to make myself a sweatshirt. I love hoods. So you start this off with by doing the lining of the pockets, which I have done. They're on waste yarn. And I am using, well, now I'm going to go into acquisitions because I bought this yarn for the girls. Ooh, I might have to cut that out if you saw too much of my messy room. So this is the yarn. Claire. This is, here it is. Flying Goat Farms, Cory Sock, Superwash Wool, which is Cordell, and nylon. And this is fingering weight, so I am using this doubled. And so I was pulling from the middle and the outside of each of the cakes of yarn that I had wound. And so each of the linings came out very, very different. But these are my balls of yarn. But now that I'm working on the body, I'm just pulling from each of the balls. And so I think it's going to work out great. Things are falling off. And this was another gift in my advent. This was from Susan. It's a little, I'm like, what the heck is this little turtley thing? Turns out it's a needlepoint gizmo. Oh, but I guess I don't want it on while I'm telling you about the sweater because it is a cardigan, so I'm knitting it back and forth. But that I was afraid the texture wasn't going to show on this yarn, and you can see I still have some pooling. I am totally not worried about it. She wanted a pink sweater. This is going to be pink enough. So it starts with ribbing, and then you go into 3.5 inches of texture, which, what does she call that texture? Dot stitch. She calls it dot stitch. And there's seed stitch right around where the zipper's going to go, so that's going to be lovely. And I assume the dot stitch goes all the way up, is going to go all the way up the pocket. And, oh, it looks like it goes all the way up in panels up the front too. So this sweater is going to have some nice something going on, and it's fun to knit. The dot stitch is very easy to do, and I am enjoying it. So I have started on Isabel's sweater, and I hope it's not too big for her. She will grow. So I guess I hope it's not too small for her, but I'm quite sure it's not too small for her. So there you go. Oops. I just moved you. Sorry. The Dover fell. So those are my works in progress. And I have, besides the lovely things, and Susan gave me a Progress Keeper bracelet in my package, which I left in my bedroom. I was going to put it on, and then I got sidetracked trying to find earrings, and then whatever. Anyway, I will show you that next time if I remember. The other yarn for Sammy is this yarn, and I have to go out. I bought this from these yarns from Yarn Box. They're going out of business. So they had discounted all their yarns, and then they had a 30% off the discounted yarns. And so 2 beautiful, yummy sweaters for my granddaughters for less than $60. Very hard to resist. So I didn't. But I cannot for the life of me remember what this yarn is. And surprisingly, there are no labels. So when I start knitting this, I will go out and figure out what the hell it is. But it was pretty. But I think I'm going to do the Doverfell for Sammy with this, but I will not put a zipper on it per Isabel's request. Sammy will soon be old enough to have her own requests, and we will do what Sammy wants for her sweater, even if she wants a zipper. But at this point, she doesn't care, and Isabel does. So that's how it works in the world. The person who cares most usually gets what they want. Isabel will not be dictating Sammy's sweater when Sammy can dictate it for herself. I promise you. That is the knitting portion of my podcast. I have been knitting. I've gotten back to enjoying knitting. I was having a little bit of a blah knitting thing going on, and now I'm enjoying my knitting. I cast on both the socks and the sweater on the same day. I felt like it was a cast on day, and to tell you the truth, I was very tempted to cast on my exploration station. I have been planning to make an exploration station for years, and one of the problems I have is figuring out what yarn to make my exploration station with. But I picked, when Dennis and I went to Barcelona a couple years ago, I was struck by, there's an amazing museum where they have rescued frescoes, medieval frescoes from old churches, little churches all around the country. They have rescued those frescoes from those dilapidated old buildings and put them in this amazing museum. If you have any interest in religious iconography or ancient Middle Ages stuff, then I highly recommend this museum. It was fascinating. But the paints of the day, or the pigments that they used in the frescoes, they had a limited palette for what they could use. And they had blue, and they had red, and they had ochre, and they had gray. They had a few other colors, probably, I'm not reading, but those were the 4 colors that really struck with me, sort of like these classic colors of ancient pigments. And I noticed in the Picasso Museum, which they have in Barcelona, because Picasso lived in Barcelona for many years, I guess, a lot of his paintings incorporated those 4 colors. Certainly some period of his life, maybe it was the period where he was living in Barcelona, I don't know, had those same 4 colors. And it occurred to me that he was probably influenced by these amazing frescoes that he had seen in his city. So I went looking for those 4 colors, and I found them. A year and a half ago, I bought beautiful yarn at the Maryland Sheep and Wool of these 4 colors to make my exploration station. And I'm going to go find them and show you. So these are the 4 colors that I got. They're a little blown out. See, I can't hold them and block. I don't know why. It's so bright. Well, it's a very sunny day. Oh, there you go. It's a very sunny day, but the sun isn't coming in my window. So these are the 4 colors that I picked for my exploration station. The yarn is Spirit Trail Fiberworks. I got this at, as I said, Maryland Sheep Wool. One of a kind, hand-painted yarns and fibers. The color of this is Soooo. It's 75% merino, 15% cashmere, and 10% bombyx silk. Oh, Soooo is the base. The colorway is called Vortex. And she did it Sunday, September 3rd, 2015. Isn't that funny? She's got the date on there. So this one is called Scrimshaw. I love that color. This one is called Hannah Lee. And this was called Ruby Slippers. Anyway, so those are my 4 colors. I have to do some research looking at people's exploration station to figure out. Oh, I did put on my bracelet. It was hidden under my... It was hidden up my sleeve. I can't remember anything. Oh my gosh. And so this has my progress keepers that I got from Leslie, who Not Quite Enough Yarn, that I met in London. Talked about it in my last podcast, and I went and found lots of progress keepers. She had given it to me with 2 lovely things on it. This leaf, and I love to read, I think. Anyway, up my sleeve. I'm such a dope. Anyway, back to the exploration station. I'm going to need to look at other people's to figure out which color should go where, to figure out how I want to combine my colors. But these are the colors I picked a year and a half ago, and I'm still very happy with the colors. They're very saturated. The red and the blue are very saturated. The other two are not quite so. And I decided to go ahead with this because I've been wanting to do brioche this year, and I didn't do any brioche this year. I wanted to do color work. I didn't do any color work. So I didn't, I kind of didn't stretch myself very much, it feels like. And I thought, okay, I'm going to have to learn brioche if I do an exploration station. So I am about ready to wind these yarns and cast on an exploration station. That's in my future. I'm not sure what my next sweater is going to be. So what's happening around here? Well, I've been doing Vlogmas, which has its own energy. It's kind of interesting. I'm enjoying it a lot, and I've been watching a lot of Vlogmases and enjoying the ones that I'm watching. Well, I'm not watching a lot of them. I watch 5 or 6 of them. But I'm keeping up pretty well, and that's good, because I haven't hardly left my house, as you could tell if you watch my Vlogmas. Pearl's been driving us crazy. She took one of my elves out into the yard, and it was a mess. She ate the cork out of it. She ate the needle. Yesterday, when I got up, I found, not this bag, a different bag that I had next to my chair out in the yard. When I went out to retrieve my bag, I found Dennis's passport out in the yard with a corner of it chewed up. We're kind of preparing for a trip. We're taking a trip in May, and we need to get visas. We're going on a Viking River cruise from St. Petersburg to Moscow. We're very excited about that. And we need to get a Russian visa. So we were getting stuff organized for that, and Dennis had the passports out on his desk, and Pearl took his out into the yard and gnawed on a corner of it enough to make him think he better do something about it. We have plenty of time. So he went this morning and applied for a new passport. So he will have a non-dog chewed passport for our trip, which will be good. And then this morning I found this bag out in the yard. I think she took it out last night. It was pretty cold, but it didn't rain or anything, so it wasn't even dirty. She's just a pill. She's so rascally. It has meant that I have to keep my area way cleaner than is my natural tendency. And it is really annoying. It is really annoying. She isn't really destroying things too much. The needle was wood. She's going to eat wood. There's no two ways about it. But she didn't chew up Dennis's passport. I'm sure, I think what was done to that was just her using her teeth to carry it out and, into the yard. But it's starting to get old, I can tell you that. So. But we will be going to my parents this coming weekend for our Christmas celebration with them. Because of my daughter's schedule and we normally do Christmas Eve dinner at our house, and we are this year. But since Jason and Allison and the girls aren't going to be there, it's going to be a small group. It'll be my daughter Christy and Rich, and Dennis's parents are coming for our Christmas Eve dinner. Just the 6 of us. His sister might come, but she never comes. But Christmas Day, my daughter spends Christmas Day with her dad and his side of the family. So she's just coming for dinner on Christmas Eve and has decided to just continue on to New Jersey and sleep at her dad's house instead of staying overnight with us and going in the morning, which is fine. Because she said, then we don't have to unpack the car, and it's just easier. So they're coming back after Christmas to our house, and and after us, they're going to go visit my mom and dad, and we will be watching their dog, Wicket, while they go up to my parents, because my parents' dog I don't think he really likes other dogs, and Christy's very protective of Wicket, so we can't go with her when she goes to see my parents, because we're dog sitting. So we're going to go up this weekend on Saturday and come home Monday morning and then prepare dinner, and they'll come in the afternoon. They will be arriving in the afternoon. It's kind of a 2-day trip from Mississippi to here. So that's the plans for Christmas. So we don't exchange with my family really, but I'm going to be making little packages of bath bombs and lip balm for my mom and my sister-in-law and my 2 nieces. So that should be fun. And Dennis will bring wine, and we will have a lovely celebration. So I'm looking forward to that. So that's the one thing that's going on in the upcoming week. And then we have Christmas Eve dinner, and that's it for our Christmas celebrations. We don't do anything on normally we would drive up to my parents on Christmas Day because we would have had time with the kids. They would go off to their dads or whatever. But because of the way the schedule is so wacky with her coming back right after Christmas and stuff, we decided to just go for the weekend. So we'll do that. We won't do anything special on Christmas Day. We'll sit and relax and drink eggnog. Dennis has made me some delicious eggnog that I've been having for breakfast, and it's wonderful. And then go on from there. I will be taking stock of my knitting, my works in progress, since I have to get more organized with my knitting bags. I have knitting bags in the dining room. Because we only have 6 people, I don't have to clear off the dining room table. So I'm not. In a way, I'm a little sad because it would make me do that, but I'm not really that sad because then I don't have to worry about it. But I have knitting bags downstairs around in the furniture around my chair. I have knitting bags in the dining room. I have knitting bags up here. And I just need to go through them. When I was looking for needles to start Isabel's sweater, I'm using my Knit Picks wooden needles, which are really my last choice of interchangeables anytime I'm looking for a needle, but it's the only set I had that had both a needle and a cable that would work for my project. So clearly I have bags full of whips somewhere that I need to go through and figure out. So my first podcast of the new year, I will dig out all my whips, take a look at them, figure out what I want to do with them. Some of them are kind of dopey. Some of them I really don't want to finish. And kind of take stock of where I am. I'll take a look and see if I can figure out take a look at all my sweaters. And I did a lot of sweaters this year. This is my Malin sweater by Isabel Kramer. I can't remember if I mentioned that. I made a lot of sweaters. Maybe I will have finished my portage sweater by then. I hope so. Because I really want to wear it. I really want to wear it. So that's my plan for the next couple of weeks. And get ready for that podcast, which will ring in the new year. Think about the new year. We should think about if we want to do knit along. Should we continue with the year of the sweater? I still want to keep making sweaters. I have lots and lots of sweater quantities of yarn. My plan is to not buy more yarn except like things for the granddaughter's sweater where I don't have a sweater's quantity, even a 6-year-old sweater's quantity of yarn in pink. So unless it's for a specific project for someone else and not myself, I won't be buying yarn. So you will be discovering new yarns that have been in my stash for a long time that I'm going to start knitting with, or see some old favorites that came through as goodies, but were never seen again. Because I plan on starting to knit from my stash. I'm shopping from my stash. And I'm going to try to knit from my library as much as I can. Although, if there's a new sweater, if there's a new pattern that I love, but I'm going to ball the yarn up before I buy the pattern. That's my new thing. I am not buying any more patterns on Ravelry until I'm ready to ball the yarn up, because I have too many that I haven't actually used. So that's my plans coming up. I hope you are having a lovely holiday season, whatever holiday you celebrate. And I can't think of anything else I should talk about, so I'm going to stop talking. Happy New Year, everybody, and I will see you in the new year with joy. I'm looking forward to the new year. I'm looking forward to making some progress in my room, making some progress on my whips, or getting them off the needles. I need to find all my needles. Where the heck are all my needles? And I do want to make thrummed mittens. I want to find the yarn for those. It's in here somewhere, and I will find it. So that's my plan, and I will wish you all a very, very happy New Year. Merry Christmas to those who celebrate, and I hope you have lots and lots of time to do the crafting that brings you joy.